We have multiple New York Knicks updates that have fans seriously concerned with this team, as multiple players on the roster have gone down with injuries, and this will 100% impact what Leon Rose's plan is for this New York Knicks roster, with 2 signings left to go and 3 two-way contracts left to go. And that will all depend on how these injuries sort of play out, and there's a lot to go over with this. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Knicks Digest. It's Chris here. We're going to jump right into things, as always. If you guys are part of that 66% that's not subscribed to Knicks Digest, make sure to subscribe for daily New York Knicks updates on all things Knicks. We have all the latest and best Knicks updates coming out every single day, multiple times a day, and you do not want to miss out on all the fun on this channel. But let's jump into it. There's a lot to go over on this team, as 1, 2, 3, all 3 of these players have had injuries with this New York Knicks team now, and that has fans concerned. Is these are 3 guys who all play similar positions, and what this is going to likely lead to is a scenario where the Knicks will somewhat make a decision on the roster based off these injuries. Now, I know off rip it seems like why, but we are going to break that down because there actually is a reason exactly why what happens now is going to impact who's getting two-way contracts, who's not getting two-way contracts or any contract, and who is getting signed to these final 2 deals. But let's jump into it, guys. The first one we are going to go over is that Knicks PR announced that Josh Hart underwent a procedure to his right ring finger due to an injury sustained in the playoffs. He will resume basketball activities later in the summer. And SNY also wrote about this, going further in depth, saying, Knicks wing Josh Hart underwent a procedure on his right ring finger due to an injury suffered during the playoffs, the team announced Wednesday. Hart said he dislocated the finger during New York's Game 6 loss to the Indiana Pacers in the Eastern Conference Finals, according to Ian Begley. Luckily, the 30-year-old isn't expected to miss much time and will resume basketball activities later this summer, the Knicks said. Now, Hart averaged 13.6 points, 9.6 rebounds, and 6 assists, and 1.5 steals over a career-high, league-leading 37.6 minutes per game across 77 games, with all of them obviously being starts, as we know. Last year for the Knicks was a phenomenal year for him, and he then averaged 11.6 points, 8.8 rebounds, and 4.4 assists with 1 steal per game over the 18 playoff games, where he started 14 of those games, helping New York reach the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in 25 years, with a majority of the team returning for the 2025-26 NBA season. Hart is expected to continue his role as the glue guy for New York under new head coach Mike Brown. Now, Josh Hart specifically is an interesting case here, because one of the players listed here is viewed as the next Josh Hart, but obviously Josh isn't going anywhere anytime soon. Josh recently turned 30, and the finger injury is not something that on the surface level you have to be concerned about. Josh posted a photo of himself wearing a splint saying, I gotta wear this for the next 6 weeks, and he was probably annoyed because it means you can't really go in the pool or anything, so you gotta stick your hand out of the pool. It's kind of a pain. I've fractured my finger before. I understand how Josh Hart feels about literally everything, because I fractured my pinky finger doing a Euro step in a rec league where I missed it anyway, then missed both free throws and averaged like 3 points on the season. So, okay, I don't understand what Josh Hart is going through. But in all seriousness, when it comes down to Josh, he is over the next 6 weeks not going to be shooting a basketball. He could do set shooting with his right hand because he's a righty, but overall, we're not going to see him do a bunch of work that's going to be a lot of upper body strength training or anything to do with that just shooting motion at all, outside of just set shooting with one hand under the rim pretty much, which is a bit of concern. Now, yes, he could easily still do cardio, but when you first deal with an injury like that, whether it's a dislocation, whether it's a fracture onto your finger, one thing the orthopedic surgeon will tell you is they don't want you to do any grip work whatsoever while your finger recovers. It's going to gradually start being able to bend again, and when it comes down to it, the Knicks are going to play it safe with Josh Hart. Josh is one of the most integral parts of this team, and he's their glue guy. You need Josh Hart. Josh Hart equals wins, and it's why the Knicks love him so much. And also just the personality, the leadership he gives. Everything about Josh Hart is great except for that jump shot. So unfortunately, he won't be able to get a ton of work done before training camp with that, which definitely could impact what Mike Brown does with the starting lineup, because if Josh Hart's not hitting his shots, Mike Brown, someone who loves to move in pace and loves to see a bunch of threes go up there, Josh Hart could find himself relegated to the bench. Now, interestingly enough, most Knicks fans, myself included, would probably prefer that, and that's not a knock on Josh Hart. It's a knock on the starting lineup that the Knicks used, and it not being effective, because Karl-Anthony Towns at center with Josh Hart being guarded by bigs is sort of an issue, because teams cheat off Josh Hart in a way that you can't fully cheat off Mitchell Robinson, or he's going to get 6 offensive rebounds in the same possession. So it sort of becomes this situation where this Knicks team is best built for Josh Hart to be coming off the bench. And remember, the first 2 seasons or year and a half that Josh Hart was on the Knicks, he was coming off the bench for them, and he was widely regarded to be a leader in 6th Man of the Year voting every single year with him coming off the bench. So he doesn't necessarily have to be a starter just because he's good, or he is good enough to be a starter, or as good as any starter who's any role-playing starter in the NBA. Josh Hart is just as good as any of them. I've called Josh Hart a role player before and said that it feels wrong to call him a role player because he's better than that. Josh Hart is more than just a role player on this Knicks team. He averaged 11.5 points, 9 rebounds, and 4.5 assists in the 18 playoff games he played, shooting 37% from 3 and 47% from the field. Josh routinely shoots better from 3 in the playoffs, but now what we're going to be looking at is a situation where coming back into this season, he is going to be a little bit rusty when it comes to shooting a basketball, and that is something that should be a little bit of a cause for concern. I don't think he's going to play any lighter because he dislocated his finger. I think he's going to be right back to normal Josh Hart stuff, understanding that it's part of the game and that a lot of times if you dislocate a finger, it's something you could definitely play through it, even though albeit dislocations hurt so bad. But not the point here. The point is that Josh Hart is going to be fine in the long run. So hopefully Josh feels better soon. Hopefully it's all good and that he's not taking any painkilling medication that could stop him from drinking his wine. Josh, feel better soon, bro. But let's jump into some other guys as well, and that includes Pome. Now, Dottier was the Knicks' first-round pick in 2024. He's the most recent first-round pick by the Knicks, picked 25th overall, and has super high potential and looked very good in his first game in the Knicks Summer League, getting fans, myself included, very excited for what the future could hold, specifically in regards to the fact that the Knicks don't have a ton of wings and forwards, and Pome or Kevin McCullough Jr., who we'll talk about in a moment, can find their way into an actual role with this team. Now, as Sports Illustrated highlights, New York's one-sided defeat to the Boston Celtics prospects on Sunday in Las Vegas was a painful experience in more ways than one. Now, as star attractions like Dottier, Kevin McCullough Jr., and James Nagy all had to leave with various ailments. And on top of that, Stephen Bondy did give an update on Pome Dottier's injury, saying that it's a big toe injury and it's nothing major and that there's no structural damage to his toe. So with that in mind, Pome is dealing with this toe injury, but he's not going to get any more Summer League minutes. And again, this is going to have an implication on things because now Pome doesn't get to play himself in to the rotation more and doesn't get to show out in Summer League and say, no, I'm ready. Look at me. I can create my own shot. I can defend well. I can hit the 3-ball. I can drive to the hoop. I'm a good cutter off the ball. All these things that I do believe Pome is. I really am high on Pome Dottier. And I'm going to be completely honest here. I'm being such a homer. I didn't know who Pome was until the Knicks drafted him. I watched his highlights. I read into him, and I was like, this guy has serious potential to be a very solid player in the NBA. No part of me was like, oh, he's the next Paul George. But, he plays that similar style in a way where he's very all around. It's like what, I forget who said this. I know Karl-Anthony said Paul George was his GOAT in the sense of a lot of people say that because Paul George, not last year, but at his best excels at everything. There's not a weakness to his game. He can create his own shot. He can hit the 3 off the ball. He's a phenomenal defender. He could drive to the hoop. He's got bounce. He's an all-around player, and a lot of players have modeled themselves after Paul George. Just not last year's version of Paul George. I think Dottier is similar to that, and I'm not saying he's going to reach peak Paul George ceiling. He's probably not. There's a 0.001% chance that happens. But he could be a very viable role player for this Knicks team going forwards. And if he's able to do that, then that would be super helpful for this team going into next year, where Mike Brown is going to be willing to play some of the younger guys. Now, Dottier, he did put up solid numbers in the G League. They weren't going to jump out on the page, but he put up 12 points, 3.5 rebounds, and 1 assist over those 2 games before going down with the injury, shooting 40% from the field and 29% from 3. And you look at the 2 games. He did have the 1 game where he played really well, going 8 for 13 against the Pistons. I almost said the Pacers, then almost said the Packers, but the Packers aren't in the NBA. So 8 for 13 against the Pistons, going 1 for 3 from 3 as well. He did miss his free throw, but that's fine. And then the next game, he did start to struggle more before coming out with a toe injury and not coming back into the game. There's a world he did hurt his toe a little bit earlier or was already dealing with some pain, but he didn't play a good game, and now he's not really going to get to keep showing out in Summer League. I mean, it's over now. There's no more Summer League, so that's it for Pome. This is what we're going to remember from Summer League. So it was kind of a bust when it came to a Summer League outside of that first game that he played because he just didn't get the opportunity that we were all kind of waiting for him to get. Now, on top of that, what we're also seeing is an injury to Kevin McCullough Jr., and that's not Kevin McCullough Jr. That's the reason I'm showing Leon Rose here, not Kevin McCullough Jr., is because Kevin McCullough's future is in Leon Rose's hands. He came on a 2-way contract, and Leon Rose, he was drafted, but they put him on a 2-way contract because he was rehabbing an injury for an entire season. But once that happened, what we saw is Leon Rose have to decide what to do with Kevin McCullough Jr., who has played excellent basketball since that point on. We saw KMJ really show up and show out in the Summer League in that game where he was really balling out, but we just look at the production, and we've seen him shoot 51% from the field, averaging 21.5 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists with 1.5 steals before the final Summer League game. So with that in mind, what we're seeing is a guy in McCullough who's showing that he deserves some sort of a roster spot, but likely is going to find himself relegated back to another two-way role just because that's what's really going on with this Knicks team right now. Leon Rose only has one more rookie scale contract to give, and because McCullough was drafted in 2024, not 2025, he's not going to be up for that deal. It's going to be a rookie minimum deal for someone else who has not gotten any NBA experience whatsoever. So McCullough's out on that, meaning he's going to be on a two-way for now, even though the Knicks do like him and will want to bring him on to a complete deal soon. He's probably going to struggle to find that. However, with that facial contusion, he is going to be able to come back, and he is going to be able to play, but albeit he might be hindered, and that could mess with things. But the first game he played in the mask, he was phenomenal. So it is going to kind of, we're going to kind of see what happens with all that, and hopefully it works out well. I believe in Kevin McCullough a ton, and because he's 24 years old, he likely has the best chance to get into the rotation of anyone, because again, he's a wing, he's a forward type player, plays very similarly to Josh Hart, could easily be that 6'7" version of Josh Hart, come off the bench, give some scoring on the interior specifically. So he will give the Knicks another body to play, and since he's 24 years old, the man's ready. So I would love to see Kevin McCullough Jr. get minutes, and even if he's on a two-way contract, maybe we'll see him still get minutes again. This is no longer being coached by Tom Thibodeau, so we're going to see what happens. What do you guys think about all this? Let me know in the comments down below. Like this video, subscribe, turn on post notifications. Have a great day, and go Knicks.